So you were walking by, you were on the phone with Sean Paul.
Mm-hmm.
You saw a bunch of Gatorade bottles strewn all over the ground,
Yeah.
and then off to the off to the side somewhere.
Right above those Gatorade bottles, literally a little bit to the left in the creek, was Kylen's body.
Kylen's body was there.
Yes.
Wow.
Pascal.
Good morning, everybody, and welcome to the Pascal Show. Do me a small favor. Hit that like button down below. Please also crush that subscribe button. We're working really hard out here to give you guys your stories of the day. We got a good one today, so let's get into this story. Kylen Schulte and Crystal Turner were a married couple that were out camping in Moab, Utah, that suddenly went missing. Now, the reason why I'm bringing this up and talking about this is because there's been a lot of speculation that Brian Laundrie is involved with their disappearance. The law enforcement, Moab law enforcement, is not ruling the idea of a possibility that Brian Laundrie was involved with the death of these two young women. But one thing I find very interesting is how these two young women were found. We got to talk about the Moab Police Department. They were going out of their way to search for these two young women, only to give up less than a day. After a day of searching, Kylen Schulte's father was so desperate that he went to his Facebook, Sean Paul. He went to his Facebook and threw out a status saying, "I just need help finding my daughter and her wife. Can you please help me?" Well, that message went out and it touched a local friend, a nearby friend by the name of Cindy Sue Hunter. Cindy Sue Hunter went out and found these two women. Unfortunately, she did not find them alive. Today, I get to sit down with Cindy Sue Hunter, and she tells us what happened and her first account of what she saw when she saw those bodies. We have been very, very blessed to have someone very, very special on today. Please welcome Cindy Sue Hunter to the show. She had an opportunity to find Kylen and Crystal's bodies. I do have to ask you a little bit. First off, before I jump into it, thank you so much for being on with me today. I really do appreciate it.
Thank you.
Can we go back? I know that I don't know how many times you've told this story and all that, but can we go back to the very beginning? Because I understand before you went hunting for Kylen and Crystal, you had already known Kylen and her father, Sean Paul, correct?
Correct. They were some of the first customers I had at my little art craft store that I opened here in Moab. And Sean Paul came in and asked me if I would carry his artwork on a commission basis. And I said, of course, I would love to. And so he was the first artist work that I commissioned in my little store.
Oh, wow. Wow. And your store was called what again?
Imagination Station Arts and Craft Supplies at that time. Eventually it became Imagination Station Art, Craft, and Party Supplies.
Oh, nice. Nice.
Yeah.
And so you live in the Moab area, correct?
Correct. Yes.
Okay. So how did you catch wind on this? Like, tell us a little bit of the origin. Like what inspired you to start looking?
I received, or I didn't receive it. I read a Facebook post from Sean Paul begging the community to be his eyes and ears, boots on the ground. His daughters were missing. They weren't responding. There were no calls, no shows. The police had searched for them with no success. And he felt that the police might have missed something. So during that day, Tuesday the 17th, I argued with myself all day long about how I could possibly find them, because I was being told basically in my gut that I had to go. I didn't really know what that was going to look like or how I could possibly find them in the vast mountain range of the LaSalle's. The loop road alone is 60 miles long. It is a huge area.
That sounds massive, especially if did you walk this whole thing?
So I drove to different areas and would walk around as much as I could. And then I would get in my car, and I was stopping and looking over the edge of cliffs. I was looking in ravines. I was looking anywhere it looked like, the brush had been disturbed. I spent almost 5 hours before I found the girls.
Wow. That's unbelievable. So, okay. So you spent 5 hours searching, walking around. Now, but before we go into that, before you got inspired, you felt like something inside of you was talking to you saying, hey, I need to go and find Kylen and Crystal. How did you first catch wind that they were missing in the first place?
That Facebook post from Sean Paul, where he was begging the community to help him. Yeah, that's when I first heard about it. And everybody was responding with, those girls are, badass. They can defend themselves. Other comments were, maybe they went camping outside of Moab and just forgot to tell anybody. Maybe they went on a road trip and just forgot to cover their bases. And so when I got home Tuesday night, I contacted Sean Paul and said, is this normal behavior? Do they normally not show up for work or not call or stay in touch with people? And he said, absolutely not. The only way they would not show up for work is if there was like another fire or, an emergency of some kind, but that they would not just not show up to work.
Yeah. Yeah.
And so I told him then, I said, okay, I'm being told to go. I don't know what I can do or how I can possibly find them, but I will go up tomorrow. And my goal was to drive until I was out of gas or it got dark. And that way I at least felt like I had tried to find his girls for him.
Yeah. No, and I appreciate your spirit. I'm going to be really honest. I really do appreciate your spirit, that you're willing to roll up your sleeves and do it yourself.
Yeah.
Now, and that's something that I find I'm a little confused about too. I mean, can you speak a little bit about the law enforcement side of things? Because for some weird reason, you're the one who found them, not law enforcement. Why wasn't there law enforcement out here in the wilderness, in that area, looking for these two women? That's the part that I don't understand. What's going on here?
Yeah, and that's the part no one really understands. I mean, basically, they're adult women that had gone missing. So in the law's eyes, I don't think that they really look at that as a missing person. I think you really have to fight for them to go searching for somebody, especially if it's an adult that just disappears. You'd really have to ask them that question. They told Sean Paul that they had gone up and searched. Supposedly, officers from the Colorado side had searched the backside as well. But you literally could see their campground from the Lake Warner turnoff, and that was one of the sites they had searched. So to me, I'm like, that just doesn't make any sense. If they had searched, they would have seen there's a campsite down there, and you would think that they would have gone over to check it out because you could see it.
I'm sorry. Like, for me, I've been saying this a lot lately, but the math just ain't mathing to me.
No, it doesn't.
Because if they were out there and they said that they did their due diligence searching for these two women, how long were they searching for these two women before Sean Paul actually put out that post on Facebook?
I think they looked for them on Monday, and Sean Paul put that Facebook up on Tuesday. And I went out and found them on Wednesday.
So in other words, it was So they went out for what, maybe less than 24 hours, basically.
Oh, I don't think they were out there that long.
Wow.
I mean, Sean Paul made the comment while we were waiting at this crime scene, because he was on the phone with me when I found his daughter. And he said, if the police are looking for my daughter, they should be to you already. Why are we having to wait for them to show up?
Right.
And I said, obviously, because they're not up here. If they were up here, they would have been here by now. And I'm not sure how long I waited, but I am pretty sure it was over an hour before they showed up.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah.
I'm sorry. Like I said, this math just ain't mathing.
No.
So
there's so many things that don't add up here.
Have mercy. And God bless you for what you have been doing. So we do have to talk about this timeline, right? Which is what we already are kind of tapping on. So Monday they went out to search for them. They came up empty-handed, of course. They came up with no results. Sean Paul puts out a post on Tuesday saying, "Hey, I need everybody's help. Please go search for my daughter and for her wife." Right. Wednesday morning, I'm assuming Wednesday morning.
Yeah, so I told him Tuesday night, I said, I don't know what I can do. Cause I mean, look at me. I'm an old lady. I'm not a spring chicken. I'm got physical issues. And I said, I don't know how, but I'll go look until I run out of gas or it gets dark.
Yeah.
And basically I was arguing with myself all day, by the way, because again, I'm not physically equipped to be a search party person, other than just walking.
Yeah.
I can't climb or do any crazy stuff. All I can do is walk around. And so I got up Wednesday morning. I put an ice chest full of water, an ice chest full of fruits and vegetables. I think I had a jar of nuts. I had some blankets and towels in the car. I had some digging tools, and because I thought I'm going to find a wreck. Sean Paul said, I think maybe the police missed something. Maybe there's a broken fender, broken taillights, broken reflectors. Look for something like that. And so that's what I went up there searching for, was an accident that had been missed. And there's so many places that could happen up there.
Mm-hmm.
There's no guardrails on so many of those roads. I always make comments, how come there's no guardrails up here?
Right.
And so I was pulling over and looking over cliffs and looking in ravines. And if I went on a path, I would park and walk as far as I could and, let my dogs run. And they were helping me search. And the whole time I was talking to my mom, who I just lost in January. And I was talking to the girls. I said, I don't know how you guys camp. I don't know if you're out in the open. I don't know if you're secluded campers. I don't know where to look. And I'd tell my mom, these are your mountains, Mama. You grew up here. Like, tell me where to go. I don't know where to go.
Mm-hmm.
And so I went to Pack Creek first area. Drove around up there, talked to people. I went to Geyser Pass, drove around up there, actually chased people down, driving backwards up that road, showing them pictures. And while I was up at Geyser Pass, my phone rang. And in the 6 years I've lived here, my phone has never worked in those mountains, ever. And it worked that day. And I stopped my car because I didn't want to lose the signal. And Sean Paul told me that he had just found out the girls were afraid of a creeper guy. And all of a sudden, everything changed for me. Like, I just had a sense of urgency now that I didn't have before. And I wasn't so sure that I was on a rescue mission anymore. It started to feel very dark.
Yeah.
So after chasing some cars down, one of them kept going because they probably thought I was the crazy lady. The other car pulled over, an SUV, and a bunch of people got out, and I showed them pictures. And I got down to the bottom of Geyser Pass and was trying to decide, do I go left or do I go right? Sean Paul had told me to go to the Sand Flats Road and search the campgrounds back there.
Mm-hmm.
But I remembered that there was 3 campers to the left that I didn't stop and ask. And so I was having this conversation with myself. Do I go talk to them or do I backtrack from Sand Flats if I don't find them there? And eventually I just kind of followed where I was being led and I just turned right. And at this point, I'm still kind of determining where I'm going to go instead of listening to where I'm being told to go.
Right.
And I go to Lake Uwa and I see a couple ladies up there by themselves. I show them pictures. I come out of Lake Uwa and I'm going to turn on Lake Warner. And I'm literally told, no, you need to go straight. You need to hurry, please hurry. Go straight, hurry, please hurry. I drove past Whispering Oaks, which I honestly don't remember doing. The only reason I know I did is because I could see it from the campsite. I went across a cattle guard, and then I saw a flash of silver out of my left peripheral vision, and I stopped my car in the middle of the road, backed it up, and I could actually see that there was a campsite down there. I still didn't know I had found the girls' campsite at that time. I drove down there with the intent of asking them, have you seen these girls?
So that little glint of silver that you saw in the corner of your eye
was their car.
Was their car and their campsite that they
Correct.
were last, I guess, seen at.
Correct.
Okay.
So I pulled down the road and realized if I went straight, it wouldn't take me to them. And there's a little tiny road. It's kind of hidden that I saw. And I turned down that road and it took me directly to their campsite. And when I got down there, I realized I didn't know what model of a Kia they had. And so I didn't want to assume I had found their campsite. But there were no people around. And so I saw a pet carrier inside of a black, like a dog pen, sitting on the ground. And so I walked over to the car first, and I think the car first. I honestly don't remember. It's in my statement that I gave the police. But I saw bunny hay and bunny food and stuff. And so then I walked over to the tent and I peeked in the tent and there was no one in the tent. And I walked over to the bunny and I told the bunny that I was really sorry I couldn't remember her name and that I couldn't help her yet because I didn't know if I was in a crime scene or not. I didn't know what I had walked into. Yeah. And so I was apologizing to this little bunny because I could see she didn't have any food. She didn't have any water. The carrier that she in was really, really small, enough room for her to turn around. And it was just filthy. And I just felt really bad. And I knew there was nothing I could do for the bunny. Meanwhile, you have to know I'm on the phone with the police the whole time.
Right.
And my phone is still working in these mountains that it has never worked in.
That's ever. So wild. That's so wild. So
January of 2016, it has never worked here.
Higher power was watching. Must have been
all day. Yes. So then once they pinned my location, they hung up and told me to wait for them. They were on their way. And so I called Sean Paul and said, I have found their campsite. And so, of course, he's asking me, do you see the girls? Where are the girls? And I said, there's no one here. And he said, well, maybe they went hiking. And I said, well, there's no hiking on this side of the road. I said, this is more like walking. I said, so I'll just walk around and see if I can see anything at all.
Right.
And I walked over around the back of the car to the passenger side and I wanted to walk away from that area because I realized that it could be a crime scene by now and I need to not touch anything, not disturb anything. I walked over a little mound of dirt and I noticed there was a creek bed there. And I said, oh, there's a whole pack of like Gatorade bottles or something, and they were torn out of the plastic sleeves, and they were scattered all over the ground. And I'm talking to Sean Paul the whole time. And I said, I saw Kylen's body in the water. I didn't say that to him. I immediately.
Oh. Wait a second. So just so I can understand correctly. So you were walking by, you were on the phone with Sean Paul.
Mm-hmm.
You saw a bunch of Gatorade bottles strewn all over the ground.
Yeah.
And then off to the off to the side somewhere.
Right above those Gatorade bottles, literally a little bit to the left in the creek, was Kylen's body.
Kylen's body was there.
Yes.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
So I didn't tell him right away. I kind of so I didn't even remember that I was on the phone with him when this happened. Later, he had to remind me that I was on the phone with him and that I was his eyes and ears.
Right. Wow.
Because he said, do you remember that you just started mumbling? You started talking about how pretty the creek was and that you didn't know there was a creek back there. And I'm like, yeah, I do remember that. I turned my head to the right and just started looking anywhere but at her. And then eventually I had this argument with myself and said, you have to look, you have to make sure that that's a body in the water.
Of course.
And I eventually turned my head back around and said, and I still, at that point, I don't think I told him it was Kylen. I told him I didn't know who it was. But eventually I had to tell him it was her because I knew from her build that it couldn't be Crystal because Crystal was much smaller than Kylen. Yeah. So eventually I told him, yes, it's Kai.
So when it comes to when you saw Kylen, you said that, just so I can understand a little bit more, when you said that you saw Kylen, how far away was her body from the actual campsite?
So there's a stand of trees that were behind their tent between them and the creek. And the creek is literally behind that stand of trees that you can see in the images that I've shared. So literally just a few feet of the campsite.
Just a few feet. And yet the cops did their search and they found nothing.
Right.
You go out 2 days later and find Kylen's body first. Now, I have to ask you, in regards to Crystal, with Crystal's body, where did you find?
I did not find her body. At that point, I remember asking Sean Paul, do you want me to take pictures? And he's like, oh my God, no. Oh my God, no. And he goes, do you see Crystal? And I said, no. Do you want me to go searching for her? And by then he's screaming at me, get in your car, lock the doors, get the F out of there. He's realizing that I could be in danger and I'm still trying to help find the girls and not realizing that I could be in danger.
Understandably. Can we go back just a little bit to when you found Kylen's body? Can we just go, can you take us back to where you were? Like what was going through your mind? I know that you were on the phone with Sean Paul. And of course you didn't want to say anything too disheartening or too devastating for him to hear on the phone.
Right.
And I know you said that, but was there a moment where you just knew without a shadow of a doubt, you're like, that's Kylen? You didn't have a moment of like, whoa, what's that kind of thing? What was going through your mind?
I went into shock. I didn't want it to be a body. I wanted to be wrong. I did not want to see what I saw. So I thought by looking away that when I looked back, I would see something else, like a log or something. I wanted it to be anything but what I saw. Yeah, and I really was in shock because I went out to find them in trouble. I didn't go out to find them both dead.
Yeah, I have to say thank you so much for finding Kylen. So you didn't find, so you were not the one to find Crystal. Then.
No, when the police got there, an officer had gone in the direction that I felt Crystal's body was. I somehow I knew that that was the direction to go. And when he came out, I asked him, I said, "Did you find her?" And he just put his hand in my face like this and just walked by me. His lip was trembling. I saw him make a motion like this to his side. He was doing this to his side.
Mm-hmm.
So I knew that she had been injured or impaled or something was something. I didn't know at that time that they had been shot.
Terrible.
And then they later came and because he couldn't talk. It's not that he didn't want to talk to me. He could not talk when he found her body. So they later told me that yes, they had found her, and I said, yeah, I kind of figured that out already.
Yeah. Okay. Of course, I hate to retrack or circle back around to the moment that you found Kylen. But we have to, right? We have to go back there. How was she? How did you find her? Were there any markings? Did you see anything other than, because you said that they mentioned that there maybe has been an injury on her side, but how was she? How did she lay? What did she? How was she presented?
So she was submerged in water. That's not something I revealed. That was something that was later released in the warrant, when they released the warrant and told everybody that the girls were naked from the waist down. I didn't realize that she was naked from the waist down because she was submerged in water. And I don't know if she was face up or face down because I never could see her face. So we don't know. We've been given very little information. We know that they were shot multiple times. We know that they were naked from the waist down, but we don't know if they were actually raped.
So you didn't see her actually like naked. You didn't see her clothes just kind of.
No, she looked strange to me. I don't know how to describe it. Her limbs were at odd angles. They appeared to be at odd angles to me for somebody who was laying in a creek, that was running. Mm-hmm. Her limbs just seemed odd. They were kind of bent. I don't know how to describe that really. And I couldn't see her face. So I don't know if her face something was laying on her face, or again, if she was face down. I just don't know. I don't know. And once I confirmed that it was a body, by then Sean Paul is screaming at me to get in my car. And so I ran and got in my car and locked the doors and the windows. And
Totally understandable. Totally understandable. Was there anything else in the area that just kind of sparked as odd to you?
There was like clothes of some type underneath the tree, between the tree and the tent. There were things just didn't look right. The tent door was open, but it wasn't like open like you would open your tent normally. It was askew. Everything was kind of askew. I saw a cell phone in the tent leaning up against something. Things just didn't look right. It obviously didn't look right. Nothing looked right. I saw like big gallon baggies over in a stand of trees off to the right of the car. And I saw something else in the water, but I don't know what it was. I didn't, again, Sean was screaming at me to get in my car. So I ran and got in my car.
No, I totally understand that. And I'll be honest. I commend you for being so brave and rolling up your sleeves and doing the job that law enforcement should have done. I feel like from what you've told me, from the story that you told me, it sounds like they just threw up their hands and just said, forget it. Let's move on.
Yeah, I think they kind of probably had the same mentality that the rest of the town did, that these girls will be fine. They're adults and they're fine. No one, I just don't think people took Sean Paul serious.
Yeah.
That something was seriously wrong.
Have you talked to Sean Paul recently? Have you been in
I
contact?
talk to him pretty regular. I stop by the park, as often as I can when he's there just to give him a hug and say hello and see how he's doing.
Mm-hmm.
It's pretty devastating to watch him because he's torn. He wants to go home, but he also doesn't want to leave because will this just disappear like so many other things that happen here disappear?
Right. No, I totally understand that. How is he doing?
I don't know. I mean, he's being strong because he has kids at home still, but I believe he's, you can see in the pictures, his heart is just shattered and he's just looking for answers, and he deserves, the whole family, both of them deserve answers.
Yeah.
All of us do. We need peace, and none of us have any peace right now.
Yeah, I agree. My thoughts go out to his family for sure, to him and his family, of course. And like I said, this is a perfect example of sometimes you just got to take the law into your own hands and just put in the work, put in the sweat equity, because sometimes you found Kylen in the most simplest of ways, even though it took you 5 hours, of course, because you didn't know where she was. But at the same time, you went to the campsite and then you found her only a little ways away.
Right.
It's so strange to me that, it was that close.
Right. And there was a wedding at Whispering Oaks, Friday and Saturday. They had over 100 guests there. The window actually overlooks the campsite. One of the windows. I'm like, how somebody saw something, they just don't know it. Like there had to at some point been a second vehicle around there somewhere. Someone had to have seen it. They just don't know it. They don't realize that they were a witness to a crime. And that's what we're hoping by continuing to talk to folks like you and others, is that we can get the word out there that, this horrible crime took place sometime between Friday the 13th of August, and I found them Wednesday morning, but I believe that it happened probably Saturday morning after, like at 1 to 2, 3 o'clock in the morning, because the girls didn't leave Moab until 11 p.m. And it would have taken them an hour to get up there at that time of night, at least an hour. So you figured they walked into their camp area, around midnight in that time range. So we just need people to, if you take pictures, if you stood at that window at Whispering Oaks and was taking pictures of the landscape out that window, it's quite possible you might have a picture of that other vehicle.
That's a good point. That's
a
very, very good point.
I mean, I'm the crazy lady that takes 1,000 pictures of the same scenery every day, right? And, somebody else could have done that too and not even realize they've got a picture of a vehicle that might help us nail this person.
Yeah. You got a point. We're seeing that with the Gabby Petito situation, the Brian situation with the van and the van lifers driving through those areas of like Grand Teton and all that. So literally some people just need to go through their phones real quick and they might find something that could be extremely helpful. be
Exactly.
integral to the solving this case right here.
Right.
So real quick, I got to ask you, because obviously we're speaking of Gabby Petito and the Brian Laundrie situation. The last sighting that they had of Gabby was during that whole
When the police were
I,
called out.
I wouldn't
Yeah.
say it's an altercation, but they when they met, they ran into the police,
Right.
the Moab police. What are your thoughts on that? Because obviously people are kind of questioning a lot of things in regards to how the Moab police handled the situation. What are your thoughts on that? Do you think that they handled it
Mm.
right? Is this just kind of an example of the Moab police department? What are your thoughts?
Apparently it is an example of what goes on here. But I'm not real sure. I haven't really paid a whole lot of attention to the videos and stuff. I think I watched it once, and it's kind of disturbing and sad to see how she's acting and responding, because I've been in that situation myself, so I kind of get it. But they should have enough evidence to either tie him into it or not. I don't know if they said it's not connected to give him a sense of security, because I know that they'll do that in cases. Yeah, I wish we knew. There's a lot of coincidences, like where they were going to camp. There's 2 spots that they had chosen, and both of them are within minutes of where the girls were camping.
Yeah.
There's obviously a lot of speculation going on about that whole thing. And yeah, when I first saw his picture and everything, I felt like, oh my gosh, this is the guy.
Oh, okay.
This is the guy. And then, he doesn't fit in with the creeper dude scenario, unfortunately, because they came after the girls had announced the creeper dudes, right? So yeah, there's some holes. There's just some strangeness. I'd like to know, if he's not associated, how did they come up with that? Because we don't have any sense of safety here. They've told us we're safe. We don't feel safe. They've told us it's not connected. We don't 100% believe it's not connected. Many of us, let's put it that way. There's still some unanswered questions because they don't give you enough information when they make these one-line press releases.
Totally understandable. Yeah, right.
We've had one-liners. That's it. Not related. You're safe. Are you kidding me?
No kidding. I appreciate you coming on and talking with me about all this. I mean, like I said, it seems as if rolling up your sleeves and doing the dirty work yourself seems to be going a lot further than what we're seeing, even with this whole Brian Laundrie search.
That's ridiculous.
I feel like we're in a world now where civilians are going to be using their social media, and we're all going to be these social media sleuths, these digital detectives, just cracking the case before the law enforcement actually do.
Correct.
And
yeah,
so,
John Walsh says, that he's like, I'm not the one that cracks these crimes. He said it's the people. It's the public that helps solve these crimes, not the police, and not even his people. It's those of us that are out here paying attention and turning stuff in. We just all need to be so much more aware and vigilant of what's going on around us at all times.
Absolutely. I totally agree. Agree. We just need to keep our heads on a swivel, keep our heads up, not in our phones all the dang time.
Yep.
Real talk, y'all. And we just need to make sure we know our surroundings so that, just in case something like this does happen, we're able to remedy the issue as quickly as possible. Now, real quick, before I let you go, you said something about Brian Laundrie did not match the creeper story. What was the description of this creeper? Just so.
Well, I don't mean the description wise, because I don't really know the description of the creeper. I believe that was given to the police by the girls that the comments were made to.
Right.
What I mean by him being the creeper dude is I don't know that they were in town yet. And so for him to have been the creeper dude, he would have had to be up there already and established himself prior to Friday.
Gotcha.
So was he up there? I don't know when they got to Moab. I know that there's a downtime in their post from like the 13th or 14th until the 23rd or 24th or something, where there's zero communication between, Gabby was posting every single day. So was Brian. And then literally all of their Instagrams, all their tweets, everything just stops.
Okay.
And that's just based on timelines that I've looked at, and whether those are correct or not, I don't know. I just look at that and think that's kind of odd.
Right.
Where were they? Why the silence? What was happening during that time frame?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So I don't know. There's a lot of unanswered questions.
Absolutely.
And there's a lot of people that want answers.
Yeah. I mean, fingers crossed on all this. It's only time will tell on
Right.
this whole situation, especially not only with Brian Laundrie's, the whole Brian Laundrie case, but also and him missing or going off on a lamb, but also with this Kylen and Crystal story. I'm hoping that we can find some justice for them for real.
Okay.
Hey, it looks like you got some friends wanting to say hi. How you doing?
Peanut.
What's his name?
The Peanut. She's
Peanut.
She's my rescue.
Oh,
she stays right next to me.
She's a beautiful, beautiful dog. But
Yeah.
Cindy Sue Hunter, thank you so much for being on. I really do appreciate you telling us your story. And you know what? I want to say this too. I really do appreciate you. I said it before, but I'll say it again. I do really appreciate you taking the time out of your day to do the right thing and find Kylen and help find both of them. Because without you doing that, they probably
could still be laying there. That's just, that's one of the things I've said. I just, I feel like I was chosen to find them. And, but sitting up there, because they held me at the crime scene all day long, there's literally hundreds of cars that drive that loop road every day. How? I just don't understand. People need to be more aware, more alert, pay attention.
Absolutely. Yeah. Again, thank you so much for being on, and God bless. Seriously, God bless.
Thank you so much. Right. Thank you.
So there you have it, guys. I want to say a big thank you to Cindy Sue Hunter for being on the show. And like I said, and obviously she is proof positive that sometimes you got to take the law in your own hands and you just got to do the work. If only the law enforcement went out of their way to stay a little bit longer, or even try to find the campsite. They were only a few yards away from there. My thoughts and prayers go out to the Schulte and Turner family. And of course, my thoughts and prayers go out to Cindy Sue Hunter, because those are images, those are visuals that will never fade away in her mind. That pain that Kylen Schulte's father has and Crystal Turner's family is feeling right now will never go away. So my thoughts and prayers go out to them as well. Well, that's the show today, guys. Please do me the small favor. Hit that like button down below. Please join that subscribe button and hit that membership. Hit that join button down below. All right. It's only $4.99 a month. It helps fuel this show so I can keep giving you your stories, your pop culture, your conversations, and your controversies for the day. Anyway, it's time to get going. Be good to yourselves. Be good to one another. Be careful out there, guys. And I'll see you guys tomorrow morning at 9 a.m. Central Standard Time. This is The Pascal Show. Bye.
Pascal, you are now rocking with that dude Pascal. We be going wild.